Respondus has a pretty high. Yeah, it seems like a lot of schools are very happy with their product. Is that the case at Whitewater as well? Is it? Okay. This is something that we've just been throwing around the idea of, and this came from a visit I made to the University of Florida. Is a central repository for storing information, such as TurningPoint sessions. It would probably have to be some type of server-based application, but we would make the data from that server available through the course management system. So that information would be accessible through WebCT or Blackboard or whichever application you're working with. Because there's been a lot of requests for, say, a place to hold presentations, so they don't have to constantly put them on a thumb drive, because due to network security issues, there's no network shared available to them. And then maybe a place where they can send all that information up there. And if a student happens to be using an older style clicker, or a current clicker, I should say, and registers, say, almost at the end of the semester, some kind of tool that'll marry up their responses from the beginning of the semester with them now. We see that all the time. At University of Florida, they're using our WebCT integration. They have students who may not log their device in until a week before finals, but they've responded all the way up until that point. And they want that credit, even though they did register kind of late. Would this be of interest to you? Have some kind of application that holds all of the response data archived and then made it available to the instructor or the students through the course management system? Be nice but not critical. Okay. And what about you? I know you don't have a response device.
Well,
you did?
I just couldn't decide.
I cut it off too soon. Do you have just a real quick opinion on it?
Well, in my case, I have to do a lot of post-processing of the data that comes out.
Uh-huh.
So the only advantage I can see to me is if somehow I lost my data and needed to go back and get an archive of it.
Okay. That makes sense. Integration with the course management systems. Currently, we're going to integrate where we're going to be able to, students will be able to go on there and register their device, and then instructors could actually download participant lists, and then we'll be able to export. We'll be able to export grades back into it from the TurningPoint session. Do you see any other need for how TurningPoint should integrate with the course management systems? And then you had mentioned, you mentioned trying to line up the WebCT tests with TurningPoint, or maybe generating in TurningPoint and putting into the course management system.
I don't know if there's a way for it to track. Let's say an instructor does a pop quiz during a session, for students to track their progress. And I don't know if that would be in the report section, that would be exported to Excel, or if that would be something that could be directly assessed.
Yeah.
Because individually broken down per student, where they can access their own.
So they can access their own information.
Right.
That was actually one of the, maybe I didn't describe it very well, was for that server-based application that would it would provide a repository for all the students' responses. So they're separated by course, question answers, their responses, and that's kind of what that would do. Be archived, and they'd be able to sort through it by day, by class. But right now, we do kind of have that feature, especially in WebCT, where students, through their WebCT email system, we actually put the data, and they receive it in the WebCT email, where they can actually get all of their classroom responses and how they responded, what their score was. But it wouldn't be a progress checker, but it would just keep a copy of all of those sessions for them. But you're thinking of some kind of what we had already mentioned, so. Okay. Anyone else have any other comments or suggestions for course management system integration? And then one last, if our magical hardware and software engineers could provide you one wish, what would that be? All related to TurningPoint, of course. Is there something totally off the wall that you would love to see a student response system do, or TurningPoint do? Anything that comes to mind? Anything? Well, if it comes to mind later, email it to me. But that's as much time as we have. Thank you everybody for coming, and feel free to stop by if you have any questions afterwards.
I do have a question.
Oh, you do? Go ahead.
On the new response test, the XR.
Uh-huh.
When is it going to come out?
Well, it's actually they're finishing up development right now. I think there will be some limited beta tests coming up in the next 30 to 60 days. It should be shipping in quantity for fall classes.
Is there any way we can look at it, test it before we decide what we?
I'm really lobbying to get a large number of beta units. But I'm not sure what the quantity is. I'm going to take note that you'd be interested in seeing it beforehand. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get you any, but I'll do my best to try.
Because otherwise, we really do not know what direction to go with the fall, or whether we should order more of these, or whether we should order the new ones.
Sure.
And is there any talk about how to replace the whole?
Yeah. From what I understand is our higher educational team is putting together some type of trade-in program I believe for any devices purchased after August 1st of last year. I think Carrie is your account executive. Touch base with her about that, and she'll probably be able to give you the details.
And then at the same time, when do we need to make a decision so that we will have response tests?
Well, I'm not sure if you recall, way back when they first came out, they were tough to get.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to have that same challenge in terms of availability.
Okay.
However, find out, because Carrie will have a better feel for the number of units that have already been, say, reserved. So touch base with her on that too, and she could probably give you a better answer on that.
Because depending on your trade-in program or whatever you do to swap the old response pattern, the bookstore has to decide whether they want to take them back or not. And there's a lot of issues that need to be resolved before
Sure.
the end of semester.
Sure. I also believe that the new receivers that will come with these new devices will also work with the old devices.
But you do need new receivers.
You do need a new receiver, yeah. You do need a new receiver with these new XR keypads. That's, once again, talk that over with Carrie. They may have some type of trade-up program from the old receiver to that one. But it will work. These new receivers will work with the new keypad and with the old keypad. So you will be able to have students using both devices in the same classroom.
But the old receivers will not work with the new keypad.
That's correct.
Wow.
Yeah. How many receivers do you have?
We'll probably have about 30.
About 30? Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're going to institute some type of trade-in program for that as well. So talk to Carrie about that too, and she can probably give you the full details.
Okay.
I'm not sure if there'll be a cost involved or not, but I'm sure she could.
I hope not.
Sure, I understand.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
But the new receivers will work with the older keypads and the new keypads, so there is an advantage to moving up to them. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you all for taking the time to listen to me, and everybody have a safe drive home, I'm sure. Or flight. Or have a safe walk home.